Chuck had mentioned that he was looking for a drummer, and at that time there was, the kind of the there was a little bit of, I guess, animosity in the press lingering over from 1989
Yeah.
between Chuck and, between Death and Dark Angel. And it was a bunch of things that should have never been brought out in the press, but it was. And so there was a little bit of lingering, that sort of thing as far as I knew. And I was like, well, he was like, I was talking to Chuck. He's looking for a drummer. You got brought up, and how about you give Chuck a call? See,
Oh
you
wow.
guys just talk and see what's up. And I was like, interesting. Wow. Okay. Well, sure. Let's. I called up Chuck later that day, and it was like, because the last thing we had said to each other was a bunch of, FUs.
Yeah.
This conversation was like, we picked up the last cool conversation that we had ever had before, like talking metal, talking music,
Yeah.
talking, all cool stuff, talking instruments and bands and that sort of thing. And so we had decided very quickly to see what we could do about, just working together on what was going to eventually become the Individual Thought Patterns record.
Mm.
And so uh, Chuck had agreed to send me, uh, you know, a riff tape. He's like, I got a tape of some riffs. Send it out to you. I started referring to that tape as the adorable riff tape because it was adorable how he put it together. Like
Really?
even in this was in late 1992. October, November 1992. Um, Everybody had a 4 track or maybe an 8 track. Whether it's a Fostex, a Tascam, a
Mm.
Roland. Everybody had a little 4 track machine.
Yeah.
Chuck had 2 ghetto blasters and boom boxes.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, 2 boom boxes, and he had them set up across from each other. He would press record on that one, play guitar into that one, and then he would press play on that one, and then play like the secondary guitar parts over into this other boom box. And I just thought that was adorable. Most people had the rudimentary 4 track machines together, but he was going caveman old school on
It's
it.
creative.
So that's how, or you could hear the the stop button, getting pressed, and then the
Mm.
start button getting pressed, and the stop button getting pressed, and all that kind of stuff.
Wow.
He sent that over to me, but it had enough. It There was enough cohesion to it that I was able to just write a bunch of drum parts in my head and take them out to Florida pretty soon afterwards, and we started working on Individual Thought Patterns in earnest, and it came together pretty quick. We had about 3 weeks to work on it,
Mm.
and so there you go.
Was that recorded at Maury Sound?
It was.
Nice.
Yeah, man, with that one was with Scott Burns, and so my first time working with Scott Burns, and
Mm.
Scott's a great guy, and so that was I was in there pretty quick, because we put the album together pretty quickly, and it I had I tracked the drums, and I got out of there pretty quick, so they
Mm.
had to record the rest of it after I split. So there you go, like. And hey, there you go. That's pretty fun. Oh, Scott. God, what a youngster back then.
Oh yeah.
And Sean had laid the template, and so Chuck was already used to a drummer kind of going a little bit kooky, as Chuck would refer to it. You know,
Mm.
going nuts, going sick. Um, Chuck was always very open to it. He was such an easy guy to work with in that regard. In terms of, um, he he never put restrictions on the drumming. He sure as heck didn't with Sean. And Sean's
Mm.
drumming, on Human is beautifully next level for its approach. And so that was having that template already laid made the drumming for Individual Thought Patterns really open up and be very musical and very try to be as creative as I could.
Yeah. Well, what a template, man. I was always curious because you know, people, most of us has never met him. So like, I was always wondering, like, what, man, what was Chuck like? Because people just keep seeing his name, and then people keep talking about death and him. I was always, and only you got to live it, like actually write important records that
Oh,
that
right.
are just staples now.
Excellent. Well, that's pretty cool. Um, that Chuck was from a musical standpoint, Chuck, we all had the same sort of influences. We all loved all the early metal, all the underground metal, and Chuck was a metalhead, through and
Mm,
through. So, um, we all liked the same sort of classic rock kind of stuff. We were all
mm.
Kiss fans, and we all dug, the Aerosmith and Ted Nugent and Cheap Trick and all the things that we all dug, all the Maidens and Priests and Sabbaths and Rainbow and Dio and all these guys. We were all into it, so it was really easy working with Chuck. That looks like that's around the Individual Thought Patterns era,
Oh wow.
perhaps. It's one of the album that we did together, and yeah, so he was really easy to work with. He wasn't, he would. People always wondered, well, was Chuck a tyrant to work with? Musically, not at all. He was really open, and I would always stop from time to time and say, "Hey, man, all these crazy drums I'm laying down. Are you cool with these?" Like,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I can play all my riffs over what you're doing.
Interesting.
I'm working well with what you're giving me, and it's all fine. So go sick, go nuts. He used to like to say that, and you do you. There's a reason we are working together. So
Oh yeah.
just you keep doing you, and this is working out good for me. So that was pretty cool. Totally.
Mm. Yeah, I heard that that was your first time really like becoming a drummer.
Indeed.